Hi, so today I'll be going over 4.8, which is use the quadratic formula and the discriminant. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So there's this little story that you can remember that will help you memorize this formula. So the story is a negative boy was weighing the pros and cons of going to a radical party, but he decided to be square and missed out on 4 awesome tricks. But it's okay because it was all over by 2 a.m. Okay, the next part is using the discriminant to determine the number of real or imaginary solutions. So the discriminant is the part inside the square root. So it would be b squared minus 4ac. So if this is greater than 0, then we're going to have 2 real solutions because the number inside the square root will be a positive number. You'll have 1 real solution if the discriminant equals 0, because if that equals 0, then the entire radical becomes 0, so your answer would be negative b over 2a. And for 2 imaginary solutions, this is when b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So that means inside the square root there will be a negative number, and since there's a negative number, square root of negative 1 is imaginary. Okay, so we're going to use the quadratic formula to solve the equation. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So you want to make sure that you set the equation equal to 0 first, and you have all of the numbers on one side. So for the first one, a is 1, b is negative 6, and c is 7. So we can go ahead and plug this into the quadratic equation. So that'll be 6 plus minus negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7 over 2 times 1. So then we'll get 6 plus minus 36 minus 28 over 2. So that's 6 plus minus square root of 8 over 2. And we can simplify 8. So 8 would break up into 4 and 2, and 4 breaks up into 2 and 2. So those pairs of 2's can come out, and this 2 will stay on the inside. So we get x equals 6 plus minus 2 rad 2 over 2. Then we're going to check to see if we can simplify by looking at these 3 numbers here. So we're not looking at the number in front of the square root, but we do have to look at the number in front of it. So all 3 of those are divisible by 2, so that means we can divide or simplify by 2. So it'll be 3 plus minus square root of 2. And this would be the final answer. Okay, next one we have 5x squared minus 10x plus 24. So a is 5, b is negative 10, and c is 24. So we're going to plug this into our equation. And simplify. So I get 10 plus minus square root of 100 minus 480 over 10. And then that will give us x equals 10 plus minus square root of negative 380 over 10. So we can simplify 380. That will split into 2 and 190. And that will split up into 2 and 95. 95 will split up into 5 and 19. So we have these two that can come out of the radical and this that will stay inside. So we got 10 plus minus 2 rad. Since we have a 5 and a 19 that's left inside, we're going to multiply it. So it'll be 95. Oh, and it should be 2i since it was square root of a negative number. 10. And then again, we're going to look at these three numbers, see if we can simplify. We can divide everything by 5. We can divide everything by 2. So we get 5 plus minus I rad 95 over 5. Okay, next one we have negative 3x squared equals 6x minus 10. So for these problems, there's no rule that a has to be positive, but it is still easier if we move this over instead of move the other two. So then we'll get 3x squared plus 6x minus 10 equals 0. So a is 3, b is 6, and c is negative 10. So when we plug it into the equation, we get negative 6 plus minus 6 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 10 over 2 times 3. So we can simplify that and we'll get 36 plus 120 over 6. And that will give us the square root of 156 over 6. And we can see if we can simplify this. So 156 is divisible by 2. So it'll break up into 2 and 78. And 78 would break up into 2 and 39. 39 would break up into 3 and 13. So we have this pair of 2's here. So those will come out of the square root. And the 3 and the 13 are going to stay on the inside. So we're going to multiply that. So that will be 39 over negative 6. Okay, so we're going to look at these three numbers. We can divide everything by 2. So we can simplify this to negative 3 plus minus square root of 39 over 3. Negative 3. Wait, hold on. It's just 3. I don't know why I put this negative here. Okay, last one of these kind of problems. We have 6 minus 2x squared equals 9x plus 15. So first we want to move everything to one side. I'm going to move this over and subtract 6. So then I'll get 2x squared plus 9x plus 9 equals 0. So then that means a is 2, b is 9, and c is 9. Okay, so then that would be negative 9 plus minus square root of 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times 9 over 2 times 2. So that means x equals negative 9 plus minus 81 minus 72 over 4. So that will simplify to negative 9 plus minus square root of 9 over 4. And the square root of 9 is 3. So that's negative 9 plus minus 3 over 4. So we can split this into two equations. X will equal negative 9 plus 3 over 4 and negative 9 minus 3 over 4. So for the first one we get negative 6 over 4, and for the second one we get negative 12 over 4. So we can simplify both. In the first one we can divide everything by 2, so that'll be negative 3 over 2, and for the second one that'll be negative 3. Okay, the last part of this section is to find the discriminant of the quadratic equation and give the number and type of solutions of the equation. So the only part of the equation, of the quadratic equation that we want to use is the b squared minus 4ac part, and that will help us determine the number of solutions. So a is 1, b is 7, and c is 11. So when we plug this in, we'll get 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times 11. So that's 49 minus 44, which is 5. And since this is a number greater than 0, that means this will have 2 real solutions. Okay, next one we have negative 4x squared plus x minus 14 equals 0. So a is negative 4, b is 1, and c is negative 14. So we're going to plug this into the equation, and we get 1 minus 224, which is negative 223. And since this number is less than 0, that means we have 2 imaginary solutions. Okay, next, we'll have to rewrite this and move everything to one side. So I'm going to move the 8x and add 10. So then we get x squared minus 15x plus 13 equals 0. So a is 1, b is negative 15, and c is 13. So when we plug this in, we get negative 15 squared minus 4 times 1 times 13. So that's 225 minus 52, which is 173. So that means we have 2 real solutions. Okay, and the last one. We have 5x squared plus 40x plus 100 equals 25, so we have to move everything to one side. So we get 5x squared plus 40x plus 75 equals 0. So the numbers are kind of big for this problem, but one thing we can do to kind of make the numbers smaller is take out the GCF. So for this problem, that would be 5. And then to get rid of the 5 in the front, we can divide everything by 5. So we get x squared plus 8x plus 17 equals 0. And this is what I'm going to plug into the quadratic equation instead. Oh, okay. Sorry, not the quadratic equation, the discriminant. Okay, so that'll be 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 17. So that's 64 minus 60, and we get negative 4. So since it's a negative number, that means we have 2 imaginary numbers, or solutions. Okay, and that's it.